Hey, YouTube, it's Will from the Development. This is my 412th weekly update. A lot of ups and downs this week. This was one of those weeks where it was sort of a planned deload on some lifts and then not so much on others. It was supposed to be a pretty heavy week for pressing, but then a bit of a lighter week on deadlifts and a bit of a lighter week on sandbag work as well, essentially squat work. I have a rule with stone pouring and concrete pouring in general, mostly just the stone pouring. Just because of the way I have to do things right now, which in the future, very near future, I may change. Basically, I have to get the concrete I need to do a pour either the day of or the day before. I'm going to do it, and because I don't have a way to store it well right now, I'm sort of forced to do it that way. And basically what that means is usually after the gym, I'll go to the store, get 800 pounds of concrete, which is kind of the limit I've set to myself per pour. I won't do more than 800 just because it just tears me up too much. But, get 800 pounds means I have to take it off the pallet. Of course, it's on the bottom, near the floor. So I'm putting that onto the cart, bringing the cart out to the truck, putting the 800 pounds into the truck. And then when I get here, I have to drag the 800 pounds to the back where I do all my pouring, which I've wised up a lot and started using my wheelbarrow to bring four or five bags over at a time. But then, lifting them, putting them into the wheelbarrow, picking the wheelbarrow, putting that back there, and then I'm putting the bags from there onto something else, getting the rest, repeat, then I'm putting two into the mixer, then I have to put two more into the mixer, that kind of thing. And it wears you down a little bit. I mean, I've gotten to the point where 800's not so bad. And I usually had a pretty hard limit on myself of basically I wouldn't do more than 1,600 within a 7-day period. I ended up doing about 2,400 pounds last week and still had barely recovered from the North Carolina trip. And then that just killed me. I mean, Thursday and Friday last week, I was pretty beat up. Feeling just everything was down, and then even especially this week, like Monday and Tuesday, doing anything was tough, and surprisingly did pretty okay. Monday kind of instead of doing 3 sets, kind of did 2, that kind of deal. Tuesday, planned numbers all got hit actually, and actually hit a PR out of the rack for pressing, 195 for 3 on a regular barbell too. And honestly, so the second rep was really rough, and then the third rep felt really easy. I had the groove better on the third rep, and I really felt like I could have done another one if I really wanted to. But I was like, let's just call it there. We're supposed to do 190 from the floor on Friday, that kind of thing. That was my thought process. Had Wednesday off, tons of stonework going on between finishing them and stuff like that, and my back has taken a hell of a pounding just because the nature of it all, having to bend and do this, and I've tried my best to sort of accommodate myself to make it a little less impact on the body, but, there's only so much you can do. And so, it takes a toll eventually. And, the little bit I was able to recover from Wednesday, I should say on Wednesday. Yesterday did deadlifts, and like I said, I was a bit of a planned deload, not quite as heavy, just more of sort of EMOM stuff, and then just rep work, that sort of deal. Got through it all. Pretty happy with how that went. And then today, man, it all caught up to me again. Just all the stuff I've been doing, the just manual work I've been doing just caught up to me. And really took a toll. It didn't help that the axle is now bent, so I don't even have access to a straight axle. Just cleaning 130, it was like impossible, because I tried to set it so the curve was this way, so I could actually grab it, and I got it here, and then when I got it in the rack position, it just, everything felt wrong, obviously, and I could feel the axle wanting to move, and I like was able to press it, but I was just like, I can't do anything. I went to clean like 160, and I just literally could not clean it because the thing just kept wanting to flop all over the place, and it was just like I just couldn't do it. So I was like, screw it. I took it on the chin. I said, let me just do some out of the rack work. You know, finally when I get a rack to work out of, and I'm not making excuses. It was just a shit day. It's just all there is to it. The only rack I had access to today, the pick height or the rack height, I could not get it set to a reasonable height. So either I would have to start with the bar here and kind of unrack it like that, or start with the bar way down here. So I said in my head it makes more sense than just have it really low, because then I can just get under it and kind of just stand up with it. That makes more sense than doing a quarter rep out of the rack. You know, maybe I should have done the other way, but you know, I hit 175, I think, 55, 65, 135, 45, 55, 65. Yeah, 175, and it felt worse than it should have, basically. And I said, well, that's not good, but fuck it, let's try to hit at least 195 today. I said maybe I can hit a little more out of the rack, and it just wasn't there. It just got out of the rack. It felt super heavy in my hands. Went for the dip and drive, and it basically just got off my shoulders. And I was like, cool, all right, fuck it. You know, it was supposed to be like the last week anyway before a deload, and then into the test week. For that, you know, the numbers say I should be able to hit 210 with a proper deload. So I'm just gonna stick with that. Just, it was a bad day. I said, all right, let me play with the dumbbell. I need to start doing that anyway. I've got about 8 weeks, I think, or so, to refamiliarize and get better with that, so I don't release zero it. That's the plan. And you know, it was just nothing was going right. You know, I did manage to hit 65, 75. I hit 95, and I was like, cool, like barely. Immediate elbow pain, immediate shoulder pain. I'm like, perfect, cool. That's, you know, just what I wanted. How'd you know? It's all I've ever wanted. Was just pain in my joints. And I said, well, let me try to hit at least like 100, maybe even 110. Fuck it, I'm lazy. At this point, I don't even care. And I couldn't even get would have been 115 in the rack position. It was just like, no, this is just too shitty. Everything hurts. Nothing feels good. Everything feels fucking heavy. And I just packed it up and left. I was just like, I'm done. You know, it's not even going to bother with the accessories. I don't give a shit today. I'm not in it. My head's not in it. I'm done. You know, I didn't have any hissy fits. So, you know, call that a win. And just said, fuck it. You know, I'm just going to try to take it as easy as I can this weekend, even though I've got tons of stone work to do. Luckily, most of it's just finishing work, which is a little bit easier on the body, other than having to roll the damn things everywhere. Which, you'd be surprised how much energy that actually takes out of you to just roll them around. It really does take it out of you, too. Again, bending and stuff. It just... you know, but again, no excuses. It's just, you know, it's just a shitty end to the week, honestly. Gonna try to recover as best I can this weekend. Super hydrate, you know, get some really good macros, good food, all that stuff in. Rinse, repeat. We'll try again next week. I'm not gonna let it tear me down too much. I got enough stuff going on. It's like, you know what, I don't need to. It's not that idea, because I hate that idea of like, oh, you know, like no good vibes basically is what it is now. What the kids call it now, right? I hate that bullshit, because the reality is, look, there are bad times, there are good times. That's how you learn to appreciate the good times, is by having bad times. So it's like, more and more and more, the more I sort of push and push, you realize like, hey, you know what? Sometimes you just have a bad day. And luckily, it's just, I think this entire training 8 weeks, I've had 2 bad days. literally on press days, none of the other days have even been bad. Like I've hit everything I've wanted to do on the squat and sandbag days and deadlift days. I've been totally fine on those. And 2 bad days on press days, like I'll take it. You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to let it tear me down. Not going to let it, derail everything, and now I'm just looking forward to, playing with the dumbbell every week and getting really proficient at that movement, especially with the new rack position I've been gifted, and just getting really good at that and making sure I do not zero that, and then just continuing with the other events and movements as best as I can, and going from there, and trying to really focus on my recovery. I'm getting better with my sleep, actually. It's never been awful. My sleep really has never been bad, per se. I'm getting at least 7.5, 8 hours every night, give or take. And the quality's, the quality could always be better. But everything is going well, and I'm just trying to keep that consistency and just understanding, like, even when you do everything perfect, sometimes it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? And that's not what's important. What's important is learning and getting, just continuing to get back on that horse and all that kind of stuff. So, not overly concerned with it. I mean, right now I feel super exhausted for, honestly, I don't even know what reason, but I just do. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I want to be able to do is apply this same sort of it'll all be okay attitude when I'm in the middle of a cut and I'm like, 2 or 3 weeks out, that sort of thing. That's where I really want this attitude to sort of move towards, where it's like, hey, you know what, it'll be okay. And the reality is, no matter what, it'll be okay. So I'm trying to keep that attitude and learn to basically deep breath, sigh it out, and just keep moving, I'll beat myself up a little bit probably tomorrow that I didn't even bother to do the accessories. I probably should have just done something, at least gotten an arm pump or something like that. It probably would have helped, at least with my attitude, a little bit more. Made me feel better instead of just being sort of neutral. And the only reason I'm neutral is because if I allowed myself to sort of feel emotion, it would probably just be anger at how today went. So, yeah, I'll beat myself up about it for tomorrow for probably maybe an hour, And then come Monday, it's a new week, it's a new day. It's I just got to start over and look forward to all that stuff. And that's the kind of attitude I need to have and I will have. And, when it comes to stuff like that, I do believe in faking until you make it, No, I'm not happy, but I'll experience that emotion of being upset and then move on. Maybe after I eat, I'll feel, a little more accepting of these current emotions. But all that being said, I am still looking forward to the future, and I am, in a way, I'm happy to be done with Axel for a little bit. I'm sort of forced to be, now that the Axel's in the condition it's in. But I'm happy to be moving on towards actually working on the dumbbell and getting really proficient and getting good at that. So yeah, it's all going to be all right. And that is the lesson for the week. No matter what, it'll always work out one way or another. And then once it works out, you can move on, which is always good, if it's positive or negative. So yeah, don't be afraid to feel the emotions you feel. Accept them, and then just understand that you're going to have to move on. And that applies to training, especially. Or maybe training teaches you that about life. I don't know. Yeah, so just keep moving. And if you don't, then what's your excuse?